Her mantra of strong and stable leadership, mentioned 4 times in her 25-minute appearance in Bath, has been lampooned as wrong and feeble, weak and wobbly and worse. An interview she gave to a local paper last week went viral for saying absolutely nothing. A giant chicken follows her on the campaign trail to remind voters of her refusal to participate in televised debates. Even her own officials have referred to her as Theresa May or maybe not. Mrs. May is still expected to win, but with her authority diminished. Even the recent series of terrorist attacks, events that normally rally people around the incumbent, have become a problem for her. As Home Secretary, Mrs. May was in charge of counter-terrorism policy for 6 years, and this at a time when the Conservatives' austerity budgets were squeezing funds for policing. Scrambling, she has taken a tough line in recent days, vowing to keep the country safe, even if it meant changing human rights laws if they get in the way. But as they go to the polls on Thursday, British voters are still trying to figure out who their Prime Minister is. Is she the awkward, scripted, hollow candidate who buckles under pressure and is just not that good, as one disappointed machine operator in Bath put it? Or is she, as some would have it, the defining political leader of the Brexit age, a kind of Margaret Thatcher for the 21st century, who will oversee a radical reform of the economic consensus for Britain and beyond? We will only find out who Theresa May really is after the election, said Siri Thomas, a former editor of the BBC's flagship Today programme. Following the referendum on Scottish independence in 2014, a general election in 2015 and last year's Brexit ballot, this will be the 4th major vote in 4 years. The country is exhausted, said Rachel Johnson, a writer and sister of the Foreign Secretary, Boris Johnson, who recently defected from the Conservatives to join the pro-European Liberal Democrats. This has been just a depressing exercise in democracy. And yet, Thursday's vote is likely to reshape British politics for years to come. Whoever wins, Mrs. May or Mr. Corbyn, both are opposed to neoliberalism, the philosophy of rolling back the state and embracing globalization which has dominated successive governments on left and right for the last 40 years. Her fans already speak of Mayism, an agenda that embraces an anti-immigration stance with a broad rejection of the free market ideology of Thatcherism. It's time to remember the good that governments can do, Mrs. May said when she introduced her election manifesto. Continue reading the main story.